The second stage of international business or entry strategies requires the firm to have more or serious commitment to pursue global markets. And these are called licensing and franchising, where you move a little ahead from export and import. You get a little more involved with the international business. So, from the name of licensing and franchising, somehow a lot of people think that they are the same thing. Well, it is not. They are quite different, although some of the advantages of franchising are similar to those of licensing. The first difference between licensing and franchising are that in licensing agreement, a licensor will allow a licensee to use its brand name, logo, technology, design, or even patent. Whereas in franchising agreement, a franchisor will allow the franchisee to set up the entire business according to franchisor's business style. So there are many ways of entering the global market and to serve the global consumers. This helps them to generate income for the company. This is usually done by transferring skill and product offering which they develop from their unique competencies in the host country. So by definition, licensing is a business structure in which the licensor allows the licensee to use intellectual property, brand, or produce a company's goods and services to the licensee. In return, the licensor gets a royalty from the licensee. The licensee company can then make a huge capital investment to operationalize or to make the business come to its true form. So one of the main advantage of this model is that the licensees invest in the development cost and the risk associated with launching foreign business is higher than the licensor because the licensor is not making any direct investment. It is the licensee who is making the investment. Licensor is only giving the permission to the licensee for using their brand name, their logo, their technology, or in some cases their design. Now, with technological boom, many companies now provide technical know-how to licensees. Such as an example is very evident, which is called Ranbaxy Laboratories Limited. It was an Indian pharmaceutical company which was formed in 1961. Until 2014, it operated with the name Ranbaxy Laboratories. However, after 2014, the Sun Pharma who bought the company. So Sun Pharma is also world's fifth largest specialty generic pharmaceutical company. Now, sharing technical know-how with foreign companies is a bit riskier for technology-based companies because when you do share your technological know-how with a licensee, you are actually there is a chance that you are actually giving birth to your closest competitor. Now, it is also true that in any other non technological sector, licensing will create or have a chance to create competitors. So, the common example of licensing agreement is Disney characters that are used in different kinds of children's merchandise like t shirts, pens, color pencils, or even pencil box or tiffin box. It is also the another example that is quite famous in licensing is Coca Cola. They licenses their beverage to be bottled in by different companies. Like in Bangladesh, Transcom will bottle Coca-Cola's beverage. They have the license for it. Okay. Franchising, on the other hand, is the agreement where you see the franchisor will make a strategy that is mainly used by service companies, but that also allows the franchisee to use it as a business model or process or brand name for a fee. The franchisee will conduct business as an independent branch of the parent company, who is the franchisor. Some common example of franchisee is McDonald's chicken, Kentucky Fried Chicken, Pizza Hut, etc. So, as in the case of licensing, the franchisor does not bear the development cost because it is the franchisee's investment. Because in the licensing agreement, the licensor had very minimum involvement. The licensor only allowed the permission to use its technology or its brand name or its logo. But in franchising agreement, the franchisor will allow the franchisee to set up the entire business according to his or her unique style. So the franchisor will allow the franchisee to set up the business as the franchisor has set up in their own market. That means it is going to be a complete package of assistance from the franchisor. They are going to tell you how to market your product. They are going to tell you what should be the decoration of the restaurant, and it should reflect the franchisor's main restaurant or the main model of business. The franchisor will also tell the franchisee about the price range, about how to do the marketing, what type of sales cloth the salespeople are going to wear, and etc. etc. So, franchising is basically a complete package. It is almost, in some cases, some of the franchisee says that it feels that they don't own the business. They are simply employees. But in reality, they are making investment for actually conducting the business. Some of the examples of franchising is McDonald's chicken, Kentucky Fried Chicken, CFC. We have CFC in Bangladesh, which is a franchising agreement. Then the Indian Idol, American Idol, they are franchise products as well. Now, the basic difference between licensing and franchising is that you see in licensing, a licensor will give the right to use the intellectual property or the produce that it has made to the licensee. And in return, the licensee will pay a royalty. In franchising, it is an arrangement in which the franchisor will permit the franchisee to use business model, brand name, or process for a fee to conduct the business. And in this case, the franchisee is going to conduct the business as an independent branch of the parent company or the franchisor. In case of registration, for licensing, it does not require any registration, whereas registration is a must in the case of franchising. In case of franchising, a complete training and support are provided by the franchisor to franchisee, which is absent in licensing. The licensor has control on the use of intellectual property by the licensee but has no control over the license business. So licensor will only control the intellectual property. That means if you are using Disney cartoon in any of the t-shirts that you have made, the licensor can see whether the cartoon images came out properly or you are not abusing the use of their company's intellectual property. They're going to look into all those issues, but they're not going to interfere in a licenses, marketing or management or production related business activities. Now, in licensing, there is one time transfer of property or rights, but in franchising, it involves more and more involvement franchisor. So, again, for fee, in licensing, it is negotiable. In the fee structure is quite negotiable, but in franchising, usually it is quite standard. There is a fixed amount that the franchisor has already mentioned in the agreement or in uh, in notices or notifications where it is looking for franchises. So it is already there. It is quite standard. So the licensing is concerned with specific existing products and technologies, and there is no goodwill attached to the licensing. It is totally retained by licensor because it is the licensor who actually made the product. They have created this brand image and they're going to do the main marketing. So once the brand name is created, a lot of licensees are going to now try to ask permission or take permission from the licensor about using those technology or brand name or logo. So the licensor goodwill is at stake if licensee does something wrong. But licensee enjoys substantial measure of fee negotiation. That means licensee can negotiate the fee that it can provide to the licensor. and licensors have very less control in licensing business. Franchisor, on the other hand, passes to the franchisee the benefit of ongoing research program. That means if it develops some new product, if it comes out with new design, it is going to allow the franchisee to also use those design or product. Even though franchisor does not retain the goodwill, the franchisee picks up an element of localized goodwill. That means locally, Transcom in Bangladesh has earned quite a amount of credibility and integrity. So people trust them. So they have created a goodwill within Bangladesh. So KFC and other companies can trust them, right? So KFC and Pizza Hut, they don't have to really come here to build that image and goodwill. It can be done by the local franchisee. The standard fee structure is quite fixed, and any variation causes confusion. And in the business operation, the franchisor exerts more control than licensing operation. In this kind of business, because the franchisee's action will directly hamper the goodwill of the franchisor, it is the same reason why franchisor will have more control over the franchisee's business. Because imagine when we see a regular public or a general public will know that KFC belongs to the PepsiCo company. They will not see whether Transcom has been working as a franchisee in Bangladesh. For them, KFC is associated with the main KFC. So any quality issues or any complaint about KFC will directly hamper the overall brand image of KFC globally. Imagine you have one the example of Maggi. In India, there were some maggot found in Maggi products. So, likewise, if your one company's product has some complaint, it has an effect in another market. So, in franchisor's business, it is a very common problem. If anything is done wrong by one of the franchises in any part of the world, the overall brand image is affected. Yes, there are some more example of licensing and franchising. So we have come to the end of the lecture. I hope that you have learned about different kinds of businesses like domestic, international, multinational, and global. You have understood the clear difference between them. You have also understood the different entry mode strategies